We'll give it probably 2 or 3 more minutes just to see if we have anyone else show up. I appreciate
Okay.
you
Well, I
coming by,
know.
joining.
Yeah. Well, I know it's just even with group meetings in Calgary, it's it's very rare and not many people have it. So don't think we'll have a very big group.
Yeah, this is probably the typical size.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Tony, how are you?
How are you guys? Thank you for having me. I'm just squeezing in to give you some updates that are going on down here. And I've heard Jesse talking about not be able to move his arms and things like this. I have started a program for my son, which I'd like to share with you very soon. It's now the very early stages. Don't get me wrong here, nothing to go crazy about, but it's a program that it's training your body and your movement, and especially to communicate properly with your brain. It has been discussed before in the society, and I've actually watched a doctor this morning that he's made a video, which I'm very happy to share with you. 3 years ago, he had a bit of a talk to the society, FSHD Society in the US, and talked about the importance of movement and how to train your body to do things. Okay. Um, I'm now speaking to some specialists down here who are movement specialists, and what they're seeing with my son so far is that uh, currently the problem is not the muscle. It is actually because the muscle has been affected by maybe 10, 20% from the MRI scan that we have. What the brain does is switches off that particular muscle to do a specific move and trains another muscle which is 100%, and you change your position just to suit that. And I think that for people who are not really um, progressed in with FSHD and lost quite a lot of muscles, if you are in the early stages, you can retrain your brain to talk to that particular muscle, but it takes a little bit of consideration and kind of mind power. And I've actually just seen a video that it's talking about this, and I thought, wow, that makes sense. And I'm seeing some major changes. So we are videoing this for you guys very soon, and if I see any difference, I'm going to share it with you. Okay.
Okay. That's pretty interesting.
So, but the only thing that I can tell you, and I think Zach knows about this, we spoke about this many times. Training, training, and eating well is very important, guys. If you don't do that, your muscles are totally gonna kind of
Well,
they're gonna give up.
sorry, but for me,
Hi,
like
Deborah.
if I try and like curl a bell, I'm not able to do it because not because of my muscle, but the scalpel just locks and I'm unable to move that joint at all.
I
So that's not
understand that.
even a muscle
I
also.
understand that. I understand that. I absolutely understand this, and I can tell you that my son cannot move his hands above his shoulders.
Yeah, that's as me.
But, yep, but he has found a way to do it. I'll tell you another thing, which is crazy, absolutely blows my mind, and I will show you videos if you like. You think you cannot move. Your actually bones and structure can do the job. It's your muscle that is not actually talking to do the movement. There's nothing wrong with your bones. Okay? So what's moving it is the muscle. The muscle is actually switched off. So I don't know how far you're into the problem, but I can tell you one more thing. My son, if he cannot move his hands above his shoulders, how can he play tennis?
And same for me.
Explain that to me. Okay? I mean, to me, it's just ridiculous. He can't swim properly, but he can play tennis. Not to not to the best of his ability, but he plays tennis. And in fact, he plays right now, which is bizarre for me that he's playing with people against him, which are able bodies, and he's winning the games. He cannot move his hands above his shoulders. So what I'm trying to say is that he has found a way. The body's finding a way to move you. You need to just engage with that. I'm sure you can do it in a different way, but you need to engage as much as you can. Jesse, do not give up. How old are
Okay,
you, mate? How old are you?
35.
Okay, when were you diagnosed?
Uh, out after a hockey hit when I was 15, but
15,
it started hitting me basically when I was 22. That's when it
right?
really started to dip down.
So my son is only just turned 14, and he's got FSHD now visibly for the last year and a half to 2 years, which we didn't know what it was. So he's very early stages, right? But he can't move his shoulders above, and his core muscles are getting very weak. That's another problem that we're having. But like I said, you need to move yourself with whatever power you've got. You need to, and I'm not talking about exercising, weights and, breaking down your muscles. I'm talking about, uh, you know, teaching your brain to talk to a different way, to make the move. The more you move, the more you're going to keep the working muscles happen.
Right. All
It
right,
is
thank
something
you.
very important.
Sorry for taking up everybody else's time.
No, you're right.
All good, man.
So, I'll share that information when we have some solutions very soon. We're gonna run 10 weeks and see what we see, and then I will kind of, guys, let you know if we can slow it down. That'll be the way to go. So that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, that sounds good. And maybe if things go well, then we can do another meeting where maybe you can speak on that and share the video.
Yeah, no, anytime you guys want to just send me a link or anything like that, that'd be great. Just because I find there's not many people to even discuss this with.
And then Tony, you're on mute. I'm not sure if you're. But for
Sorry,
tonight,
what do you
okay.
say?
I thought you were responding to Jesse.
No, I'm just gonna try to find a video that he needs to have a look. It was done 3 years ago at the FSHD Society, and please have a look. Just go through it because I kind of resonated with this video, and I thought, my God, this guy is spot on. And I'm just gonna find it for you. Give me a sec. I'll find it for you.
All right.
That sounds good. For tonight, we've got Zee here who's kindly offered to walk us through her journaling and kind of art practices, things that have helped her over the years with her mental health, just things to escape into, I guess. Zee, do you want to start with your background?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Z. I'm here to lead an art and journaling workshop tonight. I was diagnosed with FSHD when I was like 2 years old. I'm 26 now, so I've been living with this for well over 2 decades. And I thought so I did this workshop last year a couple of times and it went really well. And yeah, let me see if I can share my screen to get us started. There we go. Okay, cool. So welcome to the art and journaling workshop. All you really need to have on hand if you want to participate. Tonight is just a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. You can even use your phone to write if you want. And yeah, let's get into it. So these are two artists that I really enjoy, that I personally have drawn a lot of inspiration from. Frida Kahlo was born in 1907 and died in 1954, but she is one disabled artist that I have always drawn inspiration from, not only just in my journey and experience with FSHD, but as an artist myself. She had a really kind of tragic accident when she was really young. She was hit by a bus and ended up dead down for the rest of her life due to other complications. But I have always drawn inspiration from her because, in spite of all of her own struggles, she continued to create art and used art as a way to express herself and to deal with like everything that she was going through. And I really like this quote from her that says, "Everything can have beauty, even the worst horror," which I feel like is something that a lot of people with FSHD can relate to in some way or another, because we're dealing with a really difficult progressive disease, and oftentimes it can feel kind of bleak, but art can remind us to look for the brightness and the positives in life. And then I'm sure everyone has heard of Van Gogh. He was another artist who lived with a disability, mental health issues for a lot of his life, and I really like the way that he took his own struggles and life experiences and turned it into really gorgeous art. And this is a quote I really like by him that says, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" Um, I drawn inspiration from him because, again, like Frida Kahlo, he took a really horrible set of circumstances and turned it into the most gorgeous pieces of art. So now we're gonna go through, I think I've curated like 6 pieces of art to eventually like journal through. So at the end of like these like 6 images, we'll have a list of prompts, and I'm gonna encourage you all to write to these prompts. That like try to keep in mind that you will be writing to these images as they come on screen. So all of these art pieces were done by disabled artists. The one on the left is called Blue Veronica. It's by Rita Lair. The one on the right is called Butterfly Kid by Yinka Shanadare. She's also a disabled artist. And then we have Frida Kahlo, Tree of Hope Remains Strong. As I mentioned earlier, she was hit by a bus when she was very young and spent a lot of her time in this full body cast and a lot of time in bed. And a lot of her art depicts her experiences with disability. And then on the right, we have this piece by another disabled artist called Untitled by Westburian. And on the left, we have this really well-known piece called Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth. Christina's World was actually inspired by this real person that Andrew knew. She had Charcot-Marie-Tooth muscular dystrophy. I think he knew her through some like family friends or something. And she ended up being in the news for quite a few of his pieces. And I've always just found that piece very striking. And then we have another piece by Vincent van Gogh. This is his bedroom in Arles. I think this is based on like where he was staying at some point during his treatment. I like it because it's reminiscent of like, I think sometimes when we're stuck in bed and can't really get out and move, it's a very like nice snapshot of what our bedrooms sometimes look like. And then this piece is by Christine Sun Kim. It's called The Sound of Temperature Rising. Christine is a deaf artist, completely deaf. She uses American Sign Language to communicate, and I like this one because it shows another perspective of things that we might take for granted. But also, deafness or hard of hearing is, as we know, a symptom of FSHD. I personally am hard of hearing. So I like this one. I chose this one because it evokes a different. It provides a visual aspect to another auditory sense. So now I'd like us to take like 20-ish, 15 to 20 minutes to like journal or write to any of these images. I've come up with these prompts for us to write to. Feel free to choose any of these prompts. You can write to one of them or none of them if you feel comfortable. I encourage you to just try your best and know that there is no real wrong way of going about it. We're just like, you don't have to come out with like a masterpiece or anything. The purpose of this exercise is to just try to think about the ways in which art can impact our experiences and help us to get in touch with some of the feelings and experiences that come with having FSHD and living with it. So yeah, I'm gonna set a timer for like, I don't know, 15 minutes sound good? Um,
Maybe
and then,
maybe we split it into two parts and we start with like maybe a couple of pieces each and then discuss those and then we can do a second round.
yeah, that sounds good. And check.
So is anybody talking?
No, so we're just at this point going through prompts as you put together for, let's say, a couple of the images, and we'll do that for a few minutes and then we'll come back to discuss. Is everybody getting close to having a couple of prompts ready?
Zach, I
Yeah.
lost audio before and I had to come in. I'm not sure if now I can hear you.
You said you can't hear me? Jen? You can? Okay. Yeah, we were kind of paused on the talking just to respond to these prompts that you put together. So once we've got one or two each, we'll just discuss those and then do a second round after that.
Right. I
And
think I got
Dylan,
most of my things.
what about you, Endo? Zee, do you want to start us with one or two yourself, and then we can go from there?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I chose to write, wow, words. I chose to write about the Frida Kahlo image, True Health Remains Strong. And I was thinking about what that image evoked for me. And what really stood out to me was the way that on one side her face is turned away. You can't really see, and she looks like she's in pain. Um, and on the other side is this image of like strength and stoicism, and like she's presenting a completely different side of herself for society. And that kind of resonated with me because I feel like in my experiences, I've had to do a similar thing of like put on a brave face for the rest of the world because perhaps the true extent of disability can be too jarring for the rest of the world, and they don't want to see the harsh realities that come with it. Um, so I wrote about how that resonated with me and how it feels like to be to live with FSHD is to embody two different versions of myself.
It's a good
I
interpretation.
completely agree with the fake face and putting a smile on even though you're down.
Jesse, did you select that image as well?
I did not actually select that image. Well, I just kind of wrote a little sentence about the ones, most of them pretty much. Does that mean I go now, or I didn't want to interrupt so much? Sorry.
Oh no, I'm done. I'd love to hear what you wrote.
So I just did it kind of point form, and for the first one by Riva, I like how it shows the complexity of an actual skeleton, and then her in front of it hugging herself and saying nothing is wrong, basically. And you can tell by all the clouds in the back that are nice and bright and everything. But the highlight is there is something wrong with her body structure. But she doesn't want people to know, basically. And then I just did one with the Yinka, the butterfly kid. And basically, I just wrote everything is so beautiful except for the head, which is dark. And I think that that just represents we can have dark mental thoughts and everything, but we always try and put on a good appearance, no matter how we feel, type of thing. And then basically, what you said about the Frida one. Totally agree. Same thing. It's light versus dark. You could be rich and super good and whatever, but notice how she's in the dark part. But the person in the light is the one that's suffering. So that's a hope thing, and not money would give you what you want in life. And I didn't write anything about the third one, but then the Andrew one basically just me. It just seems to be crawling home for hope and a cure, basically. So she's just desperate to get to that point where she can feel normal and be at home and in a safe place. And then the Van Gogh one, I just wrote basically, it's just a plain, simple room. Nothing is wrong. And that's how he should think of his life, basically. And the third one, or the last one, with the Kristen with being deaf, I can just see the simplicity of it and how she would just like to. It just shows how she's at the lower end, thinks she's at the lower end, where all these other notes could be people at the top that can all hear, where at the bottom, not many can't hear. And so she might feel down. And that's kind of it. So, yeah, those are my little thoughts.
Thank you for sharing. That was very insightful.
Those are really good. Mine were probably a bit more simplistic, but I would say top left, the blue Veronica for that one. As far as going through the prompts, what feelings? I would say more so concern, because it's obviously depicting scoliosis, which I don't really have that issue now, but obviously with your shoulder out of alignment, it can, from my understanding, develop over time. So that was just kind of one that stood out again with the feeling of concern. And then top right, that one just looks like somebody with, you know, like mental health issues, or it's really frustrated or sad or something like that, which obviously FSH can be a bit of a headache mentally. So that one stood out as well. The other ones I didn't have as strong, I guess, interpretation as the first one. What about you? And
Okay.
was there one that stood out to you?
Yeah, two of them stood out to me. I guess I'll read exactly what I wrote down, because as I saw it, I just kind of wrote it. So let's see, Blue Veronica, that's the one with the scoliosis, of the X-ray with someone hugging themselves, but you can't see their face. But the person of themselves look normal. That does not look crooked. I know I have scoliosis. I've had it since I was a young kid. But I also see it as a representation of the back and neck pain that I have because they play a role in my symptoms. Or is it just the FSHD? We'll probably mix either way. I still have pain more now because of the FSHD. I know people tell me all the time, I look fine despite having FSHD. And even them saying, hey, you look better. But on the inside, I know I still hurt. Hence why I see the person hugging themselves as if they have an inner pain that they are trying to soothe themselves. And I see that. So that's the Blue Veronica. The piece to the right with the black, the unentitled, I said, I also see the unentitled piece in black as a person who is grasping at their head in the darkness because they are in the darkness and it is depressing and hard to deal with what they are dealing with. But at the same time, I see as if they have roots that are growing down. And even though it might not seem as though the roots are holding on to anything in the picture, I see myself as having roots in the ground, my roots being my faith in God, my roots being my support system in my family, my friend and my fiance. my roots and the people I am still able to help. I guess with dealing with an incurable disease, you need roots to hold you down, even the depression hold you down. Even though the depression or the anxiety or just negative feelings that will come to and fro with such a disease. What are your roots? Question mark. And how can you root anchor? And how can your roots anchor you from the darkness?
It was so powerful. Wow, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. I tried to
That
do
was
it in
good. I see that.
a kind of poetry type of vibe.
I had to find a pen. That was my hardest part.
Yeah, but that's a question I pose to you guys. What are your roots? What anchors you? Because with something like FSHD, you will definitely have your depressing moments, your anxious moments, your negative thought processes, and you will need something to ground you, to keep you anchored as we live through this process.
So for me, my roots were sports, and that was pretty much the only thing I really excelled and was good at. And now I can't do any sports at all. So for me, it's just trying to find some new activity and people that can understand it somewhat of the disability.
What sports?
I played baseball, hockey, badminton, swimming, lacrosse, football, I don't know, bowling, pretty much name any sport I played it. And, I played for Alberta teams and Team Canada and, things like that. And even with hockey, I signed my first contract at 14. So that was kind of my life. And I just assumed after I would kind of just do things with physical education. And and so all of that is kind of out of the window now. So I have to kind of reevaluate my whole life and just change. And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is because I definitely love sports too, most notably football and soccer. And clearly, I'm not going to be doing those things, but I definitely watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of soccer. I watch other sports too, right? I watch like YouTube podcasts, right? And you can comment on those. Every once in a while, I'll get on Twitter and I'll comment on those things. Maybe still feel as though I'm part of it. I mean, you sound as though you were really going down the professional route because you were like on a team you played for Team Canada. So you sound like you have a lot of expertise in that and stuff.
Yeah. So
I know,
like I don't remember. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like, obviously in those sports there's strategy, right? And there's also the administrative side of it. So I don't know what like your educational level is or if there's a team close by, but you could also try to participate from a executive or administrative standpoint or strategic standpoint as like a coach or something like that.
And I've been wondering to do that, but the thing is, when I see the people playing, that gets me more depressed, and it's just like, oh, I want to be out there with them, and be part of the team, basically.
I see that. That definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
So that's why I kind of don't want to coach because, it just puts me in depressive mode.
Okay. And how long ago was that you weren't able to, participate in those sports?
Basically, after 18, I wasn't playing like super professional or anything. I was just playing for Team Alberta or something like that. But yeah, like I've never gone in sports without winning a medal in tournaments and type of thing. So I guess I was just used to that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to take up everybody's time. Sorry.
I'm not taking up everybody's time. It's our time. We share the time. It's all good. Have
Well,
you ever spoken to someone about that stuff? Like a therapist or like just a close friend,
yeah,
just someone to just kind of, just get all that out?
yeah, yeah. I've talked to therapists and stuff, but again, they just say, "Well, you need to find a new activity and whatever," and that's basically the hardest part
Mm,
is finding something I can do because I don't really like just sitting down or anything like that. I
mhm.
like to be active, and and that helps with the disability as well. Keeps your joints moving and things like that.
True.
How's your lower body? Is it still pretty?
How's what?
Lower body, like your legs, are they still pretty good?
Yes, just because I did play a lot of hockey, but I know my aunts, they were in a wheelchair by my age because they didn't do any activities really. But my legs are definitely getting weaker for sure.
Does anybody have any activities they might recommend that Jesse could try? Anything that they do that helps them? Like
No,
obviously,
we've
as
I've tried many activities and yeah, yeah, I've tried any sport, anything with my arms, I basically can't do. And it's not just because of the muscles, it's more the joints just don't seem to connect. And I also have like arthritis with this now. And you can just tell, uh, I don't know how to explain it, but like my arms will just get stuck and can't even move type of thing if I put in a certain position.
Jess, may I ask you? You said you were doing swimming. Why did you stop?
I didn't stop. It's it's more because of I couldn't. It's not swimming. I don't, it was more just going to the Y in the mornings and being um trying getting I'm trying to get back into aerobic swimming, but it's so early in the morning. I'm just not an early person. And then by the time if I want to go there, it's just filled with people and I usually swim in like this little kids pool. So in case something happens, right? But I love to do high jumps and stuff like that, but I can't even like climb the stairs to go to one of the diving boards or those ladders. That freaks me out because I know I'll probably slip. And it's just there's just lots of factors and I know if I try, but something might happen that could be very dangerous for me, I guess. So, but I know swimming is one of the best things for FSHD.
Yeah, look,
Yeah, my
I'm trying to
friend.
feel what you guys are feeling, but because I'm kind of came from a sport background, and if somebody took my body away while I was doing sport, I would be going crazy right now. I understand exactly what you mean, but I suggest that water is your friend, and another level that you want to compete and you want to do things is not there. But you've just got to do what
Not
you.
even not even competing, but just be
Yeah.
able to do the activity, which I'm not. Like I can't even play pool or darts.
Yeah,
So
I understand that. I understand. And I'm seeing this from some people that I'm working with at the moment, and including my son, because, last year he could swim, he could dive with me, and today he cannot do all this at all. Breathing is a problem, but, you can't give up. I'm putting him where the kids are, and, that swimming pool, and he swims on the spot. Okay, but you've got to be able to move. You've got to do something. You can't just don't allow it to get to you. That's what it's difficult, I know, but yeah, I mean, really, you've got to do something with whatever you've got left. Just don't give up. That's all I can say to you guys, because I know how hard it can be losing something that it was working yesterday and not today. So, but
and
just keep
yeah,
going.
I think I'm past that point, and I think you just have to realize, yes, we are different, but the thing is that I hate, nobody sees you as different. And it always ends up, oh, I have to explain. And if I do groceries or, can you help me lift this? Can you grab it? So it just becomes kind of annoying. Have to explain yourself day after day if you can't do a daily task that you need help with, right? Because they just see like everybody here looks normal, and you wouldn't think anything else. So that's one of
Is
the
it?
issues also.
Is anyone helping you when you go out there to do whatever you're gonna do? Like somebody who understands you, and instead of talking to somebody who doesn't, is there anyone helping you there?
Yeah, I always do the grocery shopping with my mom and stuff, even just to get out of the house and use my muscles and legs for walking and all that, right? So I'm pretty close with my family, and they know what I'm going through. So I'm very lucky for that.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, I don't want to take everybody else's time if they haven't anything to talk to or questions.
Definitely a good discussion. And see, on the topic of hobbies, do you want to kind of describe what, like, in everyday life, art and journaling looks like for you? Is that something that you do pretty consistently?
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I really like using journaling as a way to process what I'm going through, my own experiences. I love this fact that I learned like years ago that the act of writing in a journal from left to right across the page can calm the brain down. And for a lot of people who are verbal processors, um, writing can really help to like work through some things. And one of my favorite like reasons for using journaling is because the tater can't judge me. Um, and I feel like with FSHD, it can feel really isolating at times. Um, I remember being like really, really young and like just feeling like I was completely alone. Uh, like dealing with depression and like anxiety as all of these things were like changing. And I think like that's the nature of having a progressive disease is you never know when it's going to get bad again. Um, Journaling really helped me during those times because I was able to explore the emotions that I was maybe like running away from or just uncomfortable feeling in a way that like I didn't have to talk to any therapist and it was just me with my feelings on the paper and it helped me to like get comfortable enough with the really uncomfortable feelings that later when I did end up going to therapy, it was easier to talk about my feelings because I was already used to sitting with the discomfort. Um, and I've always loved art. I have like a background in art history, and for me, incorporating those two has been really important because I feel like in a way all art is essentially storytelling and all writing is storytelling to an extent, poetry, short stories, all storytelling, and so is art. And being able to connect those two has really helped me change the way I go through life and like as use them as a form of connection. Because with that isolation piece, like the greatest way to combat that isolation is to connect with your communities. And I have found that through using art and writing and poetry and journaling, I've been able to connect with other people in my communities and sort of like bond over our shared experiences and commiserations and everything. And I really hope that this is something that you guys um like keep in mind as you continue living your lives and um thinking about how um you can create other environments for yourself as you continue to like live with your FSHD experiences. Like how can you um use art and writing to process things that are really uncomfortable. And I know that like the nature is it is uncomfortable and it's not something that you're always going to want to do. But I do feel like it's something good to do every once in a while, especially when you're like feeling down or like you have all this like these feelings that you don't know what to do with them. Like maybe just sit down and reflect for like 5 minutes and see where that takes you.
Sorry, Z, can I ask you one question? Are
Yeah,
you still able to write
and I still able
on
to write.
paper?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
Yes. See, when I write, I can't read my writing the next day because it's my wrist and stuff. So, but
that's something
thank
that
you
I
for
like.
that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, that's something that I like to work with my OT, my occupational therapist, on. I feel like occupational therapy is like really good for uh trying to maintain and preserve some of the abilities that we have or find alternative ways to do that. But I've also like sort of always known that even if I can't physically write anymore, there are other methods of getting my thoughts out, like typing on my phone or using voice to text.
Yeah, no, that's a very good idea. I should use my iPhone and or Google and just say what I'm feeling at that moment and keep it logged. Yeah, that's an idea. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Dollar art and journaling something that you do periodically yourself. And do you utilize either of these two activities?
I mean, for me, it's probably like, let's see, like every day when I wake up, I um I read a little bit from the Bible. I read a little bit of like little devotional books and quotes and stuff like that. So that kind of gets my day going. Music definitely can put me in a good mood, whether it's like gospel music or like pop or like instrumentals or soca, reggae, that type of stuff. That'll
Or Wu
definitely.
Tang.
Haven't heard Wu Tang in a while, but sure, yeah, all of that. I like music from different places. I've listened to a lot of Afro beats lately because that's been pretty just has a very cool vibe to it. Um definitely watching sports helps me. And then just doing stuff with my friends. I definitely can't go out and do physical things like play sports with them. But depending on what the activity is, I could sit down and do it with them, grab a chair or just bring my wheelchair along if there's no wheelchair there. So even if it's like what comes to mind is doing escape the room. Like I won't be able to stand for long and like search the room, but I could at least sit in a chair and be like, what's that there? I've definitely realized I have to think my way through things more than just physically do things. So as far as like if I'm doing something that involves teamwork, I try to be more like the strategic part of the group now instead of being the let me go lift stuff and put them down. So yeah.
Yeah. But again, I hate some of the things because, like, if you want to go to a concert or a sports game, you have to figure out, oh, do they have handicap ramps? You have to do all this information before you
True.
even do it. And, you know, that's kind of a little disappointing as well, too. But but yeah, it's just what we have to do now. We have to make sure we're safe and basically just plan things more ahead of times than people that just say, "Oh, let's go to a game," type of thing, right?
Yeah, like where do you buy the tickets? How do you make sure you have the handicap accessible seats and it's not like already in use or something like that? Like do the websites have that part down? When you're flying somewhere,
Yeah.
you have to book your ticket, yes, but then you got to call a special number on the side to make sure that they can have like the handicap the wheelchairs for you and all that stuff. You definitely have to plan more, definitely. And
And
that's where
see,
also
I think
having
that's one of the big.
having like
Go
friends
ahead.
that understand your situation, and so communicating to them, hey, can you do this for me? Oh no, I can't do that. Can you? So
So the thing is, I'm pretty much alone now because most of my friends have small kids and they can't really do much, right? Because
mm,
family's important. So the group of friends I hung out with, and we always did, sport things, activities, go to bars, just things like that. But now it's just they're all kind of at the point with family and they don't have time. So I'm having to find a new group as well. And that's
mm.
been the difficult part. And then I have to explain again, well, I have FSHD, like,
Does,
that, that
does the society have a chapter near you?
sorry.
Does the society have a chapter near you, like a group of people from the
Yeah,
community
we
that?
have a Calgary FSHD group, and I went to one of their meetings. And but again, there's people not really my age. They seem to be very older, or not very, I guess, 50, 60, but yeah, I'd like to find more younger people, but when I even go to those group meetups, there's like 12 people type of thing, right?
And then Dell, going back to what you were saying earlier about things that help keep people grounded, I think the things that you listed are definitely like great things for people in general, but for us specifically, like an additional one is just like obviously there was a phase 3 failure last year, but I think in 3 years and more coming in the pipeline after that, seems to be a decent chance that something could come out to help us all. So I think kind of the hope in that is definitely another one.
It was
But
tough that phase 3 trial didn't work. And I can because now that it's all like it's all trashed now. That what was it? Los Mapamod. I was part of that trial. I can say for sure I was on the drug. I was told on the side, like after everything was done, that I was on it. And I definitely can agree. It didn't make a difference for me, so but there's the avidity trial going on right now. There that seems pretty promising. So who knows what's next down the line in the next year or two, we'll see.
And so, do you know the guy that's he is part of Lululemon and put in a bunch of money for FSHD?
Didn't know that.
There he is, yeah.
Because he realized he had it, and he put like a couple $1 million at least into it, and he said he wanted to maybe get it fixed by pretty much this year, but COVID messed some of that up. And he's working on a suit or something to help with the muscles and make it less resistant. Yeah. But
Gotcha.
he's the owner of Lululemon.
Mm.
And we've been talking to him because maybe he has something to do that, because I don't think most people don't put $100 million in something that they don't believe in, right?
True.
Jesse, you need to do a little bit more research. I know the guy. I've seen a couple of things, and I've seen most of his interviews. I don't believe he's put $100 million that he said yet. What he has offered, from my understanding, and I hope I'm wrong, he has offered a large amount of money for any scientist who comes up with a solution in 2 years. So he's giving them till 2027 to come up with a solution, and he will support the solution. This guy is a very smart individual, okay, and we can't take away from how he works, but he's a businessman at the same time. So if I sit in his chair, having FSHD and having all that kind of money, what he's doing is a very smart way of pushing the envelope for a lot of scientists to wake up, and it helps. But he hasn't put, I don't believe he's put all that kind of money to somebody. He will probably, what my view is that he's got that kind of money. Whoever comes up with a solution, he will buy part of the business. And then he'll become a shareholder in that business, which means that he will make that kind of money back very, very quickly, because when the drug comes out, it is not going to be cheap. I can tell you that now. So we need to understand what we're looking at here. And he's giving them 2 years to come up with something because he knows his time is up. You need to think about all of the things that go on outside. That's how I read it from overseas. Okay, and I've seen a lot of interviews about that he's done.
Okay, no, I completely understand when it comes to corporations and money.
He's a very, yeah. Well,
But apparently, I'm not exactly sure, but his daughters are with the Calgary FSHD, and my dad's been talking to them, and he's basically trying to design a suit or something like that, like a wearable thing that helps with the muscles. But I completely agree, could just be an investment or something like that. But
yeah.
I
mean, what he's done is smart, because we've seen, I don't know, I mean, it's just happened to me that I'm seeing out of the last year or so that a lot of scientists and a lot of businesses and a lot of people kind of got involved to find a solution out of nowhere. I mean, because I'm trying to go back as much as I can to find out exactly what is going on. Yeah. And not a lot of stuff have happened over the last 20 years, 13 years, 8 years. In the last 5 years, I think things have kind of moved along. And in the last 2 years, just a huge jump, which is fantastic. I mean, right now, I think there is a handful of trials about to start. Avidity is the one that you've just mentioned before. There is arrowheads that they are coming just behind them, and there's a couple of them, other ones that they are about to start, depending on the funding and where they're gonna go. So yeah, there is a little bit of hope, which is great for whoever is suffering at the moment. Are you guys in any trials at all?
There are no trials. I'm waiting on one.
Which one?
But I'm not quite exactly sure. My dad has the information. He's
Okay.
just kind of looking after that because, I just, yeah, I don't know. Sorry. But I was just wondering.
I hope there is a solution, but sometimes I get in the wrong end of things because I want to push as much as you guys want, and there's so much hope that has been generated in the last probably year that I'm seeing from all of the organizations. And every time I talk to somebody, they go, "No, no, 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 this definitely going to happen. This generation is going to see it." And I said, "Well, that's a
I don't
huge
have
word.
all my
That is a huge
I don't
word
have
to
all
say."
my eggs in a basket. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, yeah, I'll definitely have it. But the one thing I've noticed is Australia is big with FSHD, and they have surgeons there. And I know the surgery is a huge, like, yeah, it's
Really?
not even worth it basically, 'cause
Really?
unless sorry?
Who's the surgeon? You know, who is that
No,
surgeon?
I'm just saying the procedure.
Are you talking
It's
about catheter
unless
surgery?
What type of procedure?
yeah, where they basically cut you open and add uh, piano wires to your ribs and stuff to
Oh
lift your
yeah,
shoulders and
Catheter fusion
yeah, and that's
surgery.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And the doctor here told me not even worth it. So
yeah.
and
Look,
but
by
in
the way,
Australia they seem to have a big community.
I'm from Australia.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay. So, but what I can tell you is that the hope is not going to come out of here. Definitely. No,
Yeah.
not from Australia. It will
Yeah.
come from Europe or USA. I can guarantee you that. That's why you guys have got all the people coming out of there. All these companies that come, there's only one company that has come in now trying to do trials. And the reason why they're in Australia, because we have an easier system for them to get through instead of using the system in USA or Europe. But I don't think those specialists are in Australia. Though the specialists and the brains are in US and Europe. That's my feeling. Um, so yeah, I don't think I definitely don't think anything is going to come out of Australia soon. I can tell you that now. That's my view. There's a couple of videos
Oh no,
there's a couple of videos
no.
that I've
There's
seen. Sorry, go for it.
no. When I research FSHD, it seems Australia comes up the most. That's all I'm saying. Especially with community groups. I don't know.
There is not a lot of population in Australia. Remember, we are only 30 million in Australia, and I would probably say if we can find 800 to 1,000 people with FSHD registered, maybe it would be a miracle. Now, I know for a fact that there's a lot more people with FSHD, but because we're not testing appropriately across the world, then they don't know they've got it. And that is my number one problem is that that we don't really know the numbers. And if I can give you my family's, for example, example, is that we found out that one of us, or my son, has actually showing the problem, which we found very lucky within 8 months. And then when I tested the rest of the family, everybody's got it apart from myself. So you can see that the effects of spreading the FSHD within one family is quite huge. And that's
Yes,
So
Yeah.
and I think that the numbers will be very high, but they are not registered, and that's around the world as well. So they're saying that it's a very rare disease, 1 in 8,000. I don't believe so. I think it's a lot higher than
No.
that. It's a lot higher than that. But anyway, the issue is that what I'm getting at is that there is a lot of hope at the moment that it's going around, and my biggest problem is that if that hope that they're trying to push down the line does not generate any outcome within the next 2 years, there'll be a big problem out there trying to turn all of these people around for any type of focus. You know what I mean? So I think now is the time, and I hope something comes out. Seriously, guys. So that's how I feel. I don't know what you reckon, but
Yeah. Sorry for taking up everybody else's time. I don't like to be the person that talks a lot, but
that's okay.
it's
You
my
can talk.
first meeting. If anybody else wants to join in, you can just yell.
So,
Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on it. I'm optimistic about Avidity, and obviously there's, like Jenny was saying, you coming behind them. So
you're optimistic about Avidity, Zach?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I am too. No doubt about that. And if they give us anything that it works even 50%, it will be good. But yeah, so the issue is that for the drug to be available, can take a long time. I was speaking to a pediatric person, or very very high level a neurologist here in Australia who is involved with some scientists overseas, and he said to me that if tomorrow we have tomorrow, right? This is the timing. If we have a drug that it's working, it can take up to 8 years to arrive in Australia. So you can see what I'm trying to say, right? So, wow.
Yeah.
And if
Well, I'm thinking, sorry,
right?
I'm thinking it won't be a medication. It'll be more of an exoskeleton suit that would help most of us out to lift our arms and just do more of that stuff, right? And even if you walk, right now, people have, exoskeleton legs to help them walk upstairs, run, and basically that's where I'm thinking it's probably going to be going faster because military already has that technology.
Yeah, well, that is for people who are really progressed, but the main thing is to see if we can actually stop it. The idea is to stop it, because if we stop it, then that means that your kids and whoever else is affected mildly or whatever can continue on with families and stuff like that, instead of these being spread around, because we know it's a genetic. It's not your fault that you got it. Okay, it's given it to you by your genetics, and that's what's happening. So I think the aim is to stop it first, and then we'll look after exactly what we can do with the rest of the population who need specific assistance. That's that. Otherwise, you'll never stop it. It will just continue on and continue on, and it's just gonna be difficult, So, but now
But
is the time.
that's how pharmacies make their business, which is sad. But
Are you able to walk? Are you walking, or you're full
yeah,
time on a wheelchair? You are walking.
yeah,
You can you run?
no,
No. So, but you can walk an assistance without any problems. You don't need a wheelchair.
no.
Okay. Adele, are you able to walk?
I can walk, but if I walk for too long, I definitely will have pain. Same with standing.
May I ask how long is that?
Yeah.
What's the distance you're talking about here?
Standing, if I'm standing for like more than 3 minutes, 5 at the most. Like my quads, the day or next day after, I'll have a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Walking, maybe like 5, maybe 10 minutes. But then I know the next day I'll have like a lot of pain.
So you need to sit down after 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So you need assistance there, right?
Yeah.
Z?
But I make sure I whether it's at home or at work or whatever activity I'm doing, I plan it in such a way that I can sit most of the time and more try to conserve my energy. That way I don't end up having pain essentially.
Okay. So so if I pick up that your core muscles are giving up, not your legs then, if that's the case, yeah?
No, for me it's a little bit of everything,
Okay.
but I am able to conserve my energy and just through a lot of trial and error. It's not like I just magically,
Yeah.
figured it out from day one. But
Yeah.
I figured, okay, I can do this. This I need to modify. I can do that. This I need to modify. It's about figuring out how to modify activities.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Good.
and some of that you might come up with yourself. Some you might need to ask your occupational therapist or physical therapist or
To give you.
whoever to see what type of hints or gadgets or whatnot you could do to try to slow the progression until more scientific help can do its thing.
Yep. Yep. And
Sorry,
that's what we have.
can I ask you one? Are you able to do a sit up? Like if you're on the floor, are you able to use your core muscles and do a sit up?
I can do it. I just know that if that is
Oh.
something I do often, it's going to cause me issues, pain later on.
Well,
So
yeah.
for me,
See,
so
my core
getting off the
muscles.
so for me
So
getting off
mine
the
are.
floor, instead of me doing
Yeah.
just a sit up, I would more roll onto my side, try to get on all
Side,
fours,
yeah.
getting a kneeling position, and try to get close to something. I could use my
And,
arms, so I could use a more group of muscles instead of just one muscle to do it.
and yeah, that's what I have to do because I can't even do if I'm in a flat surface. My core muscles are so weak now. I can't even do like an inch off the ground. So I have to
But
roll
look,
over and do
mhm. But look at what
like
you
rib
said.
and
You said that's what I have to do, meaning you can do it just
Yep.
differently. So you have
Yep.
to focus
yeah,
more on
exactly.
what I can do instead of okay, we all know we can't do certain things. Okay, fine, that sucks. But we have to try to focus on, okay, what can I still do? And try to do that
Yeah,
and just kind of manage that and just conserve your
yeah, and
energy in those ways around that.
the
Yep.
different adjustments in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to all do something different compared to other people,
Yeah.
Yep.
no matter
Yeah.
what it is, probably.
Mm-hmm. And psychologically, it's tough. Some of us can adjust to that sooner than others. Everyone has a different speed as how they can get around that stuff, but it's definitely something that can help. Focus on what you can do.
Z,
Yeah.
are you able to walk?
Yeah, so I also have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So if I stand for too long, I pass out basically. So
Ooh.
I can walk and I can stand independently. I just don't because of my POTS. So I'm like, I use a wheelchair for like long distances, sometimes around the house, depending on like how I'm feeling that day. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Zach,
hard.
I think you're okay. You can walk still, right? Is that correct? You can walk and run?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, it sucks. One day you're there and the next day you have to modify something else, and what it must be doing to somebody's mind is just enormous. But you just keep, if you give up, you're finished. That's it. So that's you got to get it in here that you can't give up. Modify, whatever you need to do and make it different. Go to the goal that you want to do, but just find a different way. It's just the only way. But get to it. That's the point.
Another thing that you guys could try to use too is kinesio tape,
Yeah,
and work
yeah,
with your physical therapist or occupational therapist as to how you can tape certain muscles, have them teach you how to tape it yourselves.
yeah,
And even though manufacturing will say, only 5 days, I use it and I keep some of them I keep it on for like a couple weeks, even though I'm not supposed to. But because if you use a bunch of it, it does cost money, but at least that could give you a little more function out of that particular muscle because it'll give that particular muscle a little more support.
Sorry,
tape,
what was the name of that tape?
Oh, kinesio tape.
kinesio tape. Now you need to. I've done a little bit of research on that, and we try to use it. I think if you are in the early stages of FSHD, it might help. But
Agreed. Agreed.
if you are severe, I think it's waste of time. I've tried to use it myself on my son, and yes, because his problem is that his both shoulders have now kind of completely collapsing, and we're trying to lift them up.
Mm-hmm.
So it just helps you with your body structure and muscles and everything else. But after a while, just it was impossible to keep them on, and they come off. And if he wants to do an activity with his body up the top, they just don't stay on. So you know, having it at the back is very difficult. You got to strap yourself a lot to keep, like, say, your shoulder in position. There's a lot of strapping that has to go on, and this is, your hands are heavy. You know what I mean? They're not they are not light. So
Sounds like you guys were using it more for realigning.
yeah,
Essentially.
realigning so he doesn't, like, just to help him so he doesn't kind of drop all the time, because the whole structure of his body just goes forward. So
Kinesio tape is not a tape necessarily for realigning. I like it more for
assisting.
muscle support, assisting. Yes, you can use it for swelling, and you can use it for, let's say for instance, this part of my shoulder just hurts, right? You could use it to at least take the pressure off of that area. So
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
it may not be helping with the muscle assisting, but if it just hurts, it is something to try to at least take the pressure off so it doesn't hurt as much. And what I like about it is very minimal side effects. The most side effects I see with people with that is a
The
rash.
glue. It's just the glue.
Right. If
Yeah.
if you're just someone who's allergic to adhesives in general, like Band-Aid adhesives,
Yeah.
okay, that might be an issue for you. And even then, you just get a couple hives, you take it off, and
Yeah.
after a couple days, that'll go away. So to me,
Yeah.
it's worth a try.
So for me, like, I've done those tapes, and basically my muscle, they don't hurt. It's more of the realigning, and I've tried those back straps, and they just don't work at all. But I don't have pain. That's the thing. It's just my joints don't work. So
Gotcha.
unless, like, I stand for 2 days or a day at a concert, kind of jumping around, having my stroller, sit down, and the next day I'll definitely be in pain with my back. But other than that, I don't find those tapes very helpful.
Yeah.
But anybody can be different, right?
What I've learned is there are a wide variety of symptoms and level of symptoms of people with FSHD. So, like for instance, me, it's more, my issue is more pain, and then because of my pain, that drives the muscle inhibition that's causing some of my weakness, right? Whereas some people, I've heard some people like you say, like, pain is not my issue. My issue is just straight weakness, and there's people all along that at different gradients with that. So
Yeah, because I literally don't have pain unless I do a very activity thing, and then I'll feel it in my legs. But I'll have my stroller to sit down, like if I'm at a concert or something, because you can't just stand, right? And after that, though, like I can't stand for a whole concert. I need to sit down, and otherwise my back just kills me, and I'm not able to stand up straight the next day.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's where you just have to make sure, okay, you learn that you experience that. So now okay, I have to modify things. I need to bring, like a camping chair with me, or or wheelchair seating or something like that. Just modify the activity as best as you can,
Yeah,
And
I
that's
completely understand.
JC, that's why I said at the start that exercise is very important, because you've done a lot of athletics in your life. You know that if you stop doing athletics for a week or two, you're back a month, and you got to rework your activity again, even if you're 100% person with no issues, right? Your fitness has to come back. Same thing, and even worse when you have this disease that it's affecting muscles. You've got to keep at it, and you've got to work on the muscles working. So a lot of people just gave up, and they sit down and they go, I can't do this any longer. And just because they can't do it any longer, they give up completely, even moving. When they are able to move, I suggest that if you're able to move, just move whatever you got left and exercise it to keep it alive, because that is definitely how you're going to slow it down. It is just that's definitely how I see it. Please have a look at that video link that I have sent you. You will understand what I'm talking about. This guy is spot on. I agree with him 100%.
Yeah.
Have a look at that. You'll
No,
understand
it's
what
just,
he's saying.
yeah. No, it's just like when you go to big events, like if you go to a concert, you can't really have a wheelchair, or there's everybody standing, it's cramped. Like here we have the Calgary Stampede. You couldn't get through the
Yeah,
crowd
well,
with a wheelchair. You'd just
I
be
know.
stuck.
Yeah,
And that's the type of thing. It's like you have to kind of, plan again ahead several days, make sure
yeah,
where you can do.
and that is what does your mind, and it's tough, and it's absolutely hard. I know, because a lot of people are going through the same thing, and it's tough on the brain, especially mentally, to get this. But
But
you
sometimes
can't
the
give up.
stroller helps,
Yeah,
and
you
you
can't
get
give up.
to the front of the line because
Yeah,
people
that's
are
right. You
nice.
can't give up. You need to find a way. That's just how I look at it. If you give up, then you just somebody else is winning there. So just give up. Get out of my way. I want to get there. As simple as that. How are you gonna get there? It doesn't matter. Scroll a bicycle, whatever you get on it. I don't care. Just get there.
and remember too,
I'm just saying.
like
So
exercise doesn't have to be I go pump weights, I go run on the
No,
treadmill, I
no,
go
no.
ride the bike.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could be in the pool and
Yep.
just
Move
walk, or just do guided movements, or just
movements.
do range of motion for stretching.
Yep, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be what what
Yeah,
you
you
see
know,
in the
you,
gym.
you absolutely agree.
yeah, my workout is walking around the mall and
There you go.
just
There you
looking at
go.
stuff.
Great stuff.
There
But
you
I
go.
kind of hate it because I end up buying stuff, but then I just go back the next day and return it because I'm like, oh, that's cool, and then I would go back next day. Oh, yeah, I didn't want it.
Well, that's another problem. That's nothing to do with it.
No,
That's got nothing to do
I
with
always return
FSHD.
the item. I always get my money back.
Yeah,
With our mouth.
last time I was in this group, I talked to a couple of people because I'm trying to map a couple of things so I can understand the disease. And I'm not sure if Zach remember, I was asking for the repeats and methylation. Do you remember that, Zach, last time we were talking about? Um, the reason why I was questioning that is because from the reading that I've done in the past, it's very straightforward to me that a lot of scientists have actually some of them who picked up a methylation and the repeats have done a little bit of a better test, and the outcome was a lot more clearer of how it's actually affecting people over their lives. And that's why we see a lot of different people with different effects over their lives, because it's hitting people differently. But nobody is saying, nobody can map how you're going to be in 5 years' time. It's all up in the sky, right? Nobody has actually sat down and done a little bit more work on what do we need to, how do we map all this information? Because there's a lot of work there to be done, right? Nobody's going to sit down and do all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult. So I've done I've already started with a couple of people, and I've tried now 4 people. Now I've mapped 4 people with very similar scenarios, and let me tell you, the similarities that I'm seeing across the first 7-8 years of their life is almost identical. Almost identical. And the only difference is the activities they've done, they're different. Okay, some people were a lot more active than others in the past, but I can see what drops off and what symptoms they had the year before or around about the same year, what has actually dropped off. It is quite amazing. And just by picking up 3 or 4 different elements from their study disease, I'm surprised that people haven't looked into this in the past. I understand why some scientists didn't look into it in the past, because there is the information that it's available. Some people don't want to mix them together for the obvious reasons, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm seeing a very clear path here of how it affects people. Zach, did you find your methylation? Did you do methylation last time we spoke about this? Did you find out what it was? Do you remember?
Yeah, I did it after we spoke.
Did you find out what it was?
Yeah, I don't remember the numbers, but they're
You
pretty
don't
good
remember the
relative.
numbers?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're relative to the number of repeats.
Sorry?
I said I don't remember the specific numbers, but they're pretty good relative to the repeat count.
Right. You don't remember the methylation or your repeats?
I know the repeats, but I'm saying, well, I don't remember the specific numbers for the methylation.
Yeah.
Those were good relative to the repeat.
Yeah. Has anybody done a methylation test, saliva test, and blood test in this group, or have you
I
done
don't
it?
know. They just told me I have it,
They just told you have it.
and well,
How?
when I got hit in hockey when I was 15, they noticed my scapulas were really
Sure.
weird, and then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got tested, and now they have determined I have muscular
Yeah.
dystrophy.
What test have you done? Have you done a blood test?
Well, I do blood tests every
No.
like
How will you confirm you got it? I know they know you've got it, but how will you confirm by specific test for FSHD? No.
Probably it was so long ago, but I see a specialist that deals with FSHD, right?
Sure.
Every year, and
I understand.
she knows, she can tell by the symptoms that I have it.
Sure. But there is a difference between, like, our neurologist knew that we've got it, but he had to prove it so they can sign up and we can be registered. Yeah. Otherwise, they cannot.
Okay.
You're not registered. They know you have it, but you're not registered because it officially has not been done. I don't know how it happens in the US, but in Australia it's very different. So you've got the neurologist who understands that you've got it, because that's their job. They need to send your blood test. And then it has to come back with an analysis on a specific gene for FSHD, and that proves that you've got it. And then from then on, you go into the system for support.
For
I don't
us,
know.
for me, it was a saliva test.
It was a saliva test,
It
and
was
there's a lot.
Yeah, and it
Peter
was
Jones.
confirmed, and then I'm double checking again because the
Yeah.
neurologist wants just double check. But it's a saliva test for us.
Okay. Do you remember your
So
methylation?
I'm in Canada.
Do you remember what?
Sorry.
Your methylation?
I
Your
don't even know
results.
what that is. What's that?
Okay, let's
Yeah,
see.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Very.
and
These are very important stuff, you guys.
You said
The report-
methylation?
methylation. So the report from Peter Jones gives you a methylation number percentage, and it says to you that
Oh, I know who.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second time I'm testing is with Peter Jones. He has to send me that back. But when I did the saliva test, the first time I was with my neurologist. And so, well, they didn't give me like all of that data because that's very scientifically heavy. But the neurologist said, okay, you have FSHD type 1, you know.
yes, but the methylation test and the saliva test, only one person does it in the world, and that's Peter Jones. Nobody
Oh,
else.
okay.
So
Okay.
so he's
Peter-
probably sent your saliva test to Peter Jones, and then Peter possibly came.
That I did recently. So I know he's gonna send back because even my neurologist, he's gonna send back a lot of information. A lot of it's not gonna make sense.
Yeah, oh, it's gonna make
Right.
sense. Trust me, it is gonna make sense. But you need to know that there is the gray area in the system. Peter Jones' report, to me, it is absolutely number one and very accurate, and I wish the people are gonna acknowledge it. But it's not approved. It is
Correct. Yes.
right.
He's working.
So
Yeah.
so if you go into a system, whatever system, I don't know how it is in US or wherever you guys are, because he's not approved, you're not registered. Except
Yeah.
if you have an organization that they are registering people and then they're saying, we know you have it because of the saliva test, but you know, if you go to a system, into a clinical system who are looking into those kind of things, they're going to go, well, you need to have a blood test because we don't recognize saliva test as an approved method.
and
In
that's
a simple way.
also going to be true for insurance in the US too.
Sure. So that's probably an insurance issue as well. But so that's what I'm trying to say is that we have, already two people in the room that they haven't been really proper registered and proper.
Oh, I am properly registered.
With who?
My doctor. And
Yes,
I've been in clinical trials and everything.
but the doctor cannot, if he's not recognizing Peter Jones' saliva test because it's not recognized around the world, how does he have a proof that you've got FSH? I know you have. Don't get me wrong here. What I'm trying to say is that in Australia you have to have a proof. You can't just say yes, I believe he has it. It doesn't work that way. You need to have a test proof in Australia to be registered, and I think it's exactly the same in US. I'm not sure. That's that's another thing.
So I'm from Canada. I'm just wondering if it would be different because I'm registered for trials for FSHD. So, and
With who?
I had seizures, so I have a bad memory, and I don't know if like I got that saliva test but right away when the physiotherapist saw my shoulder blades at 15, and then we kept going to the doctor, and they were just like, these are the exact symptoms of it. So, but I haven't had actual blood tests or anything, but I don't know.
It's bizarre. It's very bizarre how it works. Anyway,
it'll definitely, if you have it already, it'll help you, from my understanding, get into the trials. But sometimes if you haven't had it, but you could be a good candidate based on your clinical profile, then I think they can kind of support you getting the test.
Okay.
It's very different in US then.
I know US is a lot more restricted. I don't know, but anyways, that other guy seemed to have left. So
yeah, and it is getting late, at least here, but I will say in a month's time we'll have another one with a doctor on supplements. He'll be kind of giving a presentation on that and then doing Q&A if you want to join for that.
Sorry, what is the doctor? Sorry.
You'll be discussing supplements.
Oh, supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that'll be good. Is he a neurologist or is he just he's a dietitian?
So I don't remember offhand. I've not met him before. Let me try to look it up real quick.
So Tony,
Yep.
like with my arm,
Yep.
like I'll kind of try to show you, but
Yep.
I can't rotate my hand all the way now. And if it's
Mhm.
like this,
Yep.
I can't even bend my elbow, and you can see my shoulder just popping out. Like I can't physically bend that elbow. Like I just,
Okay.
it doesn't work. And
So
that's kind of
you mean you can't do that?
like, no, I can't do that at all. Like I'm trying as hard as I can. But if I rotate it a bit, I can
Yep.
do that. But if it's that way, I can't do anything. So
Okay. So let me tell you. What about the other hand?
same thing.
Same thing. Okay. So
It's a little bit better.
if you do that with your other hand, can you help it to do that? Are you able to help
No,
with your
see,
other
that's
hand
the
to bring?
weird thing. See, that's the weird thing. Like if I put it in that position,
I can't see, but anyways, yeah.
I'm trying to, yeah, I'm trying to, like if I put it in that position,
Yep.
and then like quickly, I have a table here.
Yep.
It will bend, but as soon as I get rid of the table or anything, it's gone. And even when my other arm, I can't bend it that much, so that won't even come up as well.
Okay.
It seems to be more of a joint thing than muscle.
It's not a joint. Trust me. Trust me, my friend. It is not a
Well,
joint.
let's see on my left arm.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
it. And it, yeah, my
Yeah.
muscles just crack the bones.
Yeah. It is the muscle. It's
Right.
got nothing to do with your bones. But you need to. You've got muscles in there. You just need to communicate with them to get them back on again. I'll show you. My son. I'll show you another thing. My son cannot. Can you see me? Right.
Yeah,
Okay, my son cannot lift his arms above there. That's it.
and that's
That's
me.
okay.
And
Now, can you do it at the front?
this is my
Can you do it at the front?
no, no.
You can't go at the top? Right. Okay, so you've lost a lot more than he
This
does.
is as far as I can. This is
So
as high as I can go, and I'm sitting.
can I show you something? I'll just grab let me show you something. One second.
Sorry, Zach, if we're wasting your time.
Of course. It's good.
So Zach, how like are you able to use your arms and everything still pretty good, or
So my right is probably more like
Okay.
yours. The arms
See that?
are now.
okay?
If you can find something like this very light, right? All right,
Yeah,
and hold it. See my thumbs pointing up, right? And that doesn't really matter. So can, because this hand here, right, works, right? Can you just try to lift your hand like that with this? I mean, this is dead, okay? I understand that. But trying to lift with your other hand, because you're not lifting your hand up, right? You're only supporting. You lift it up so you can actually extend the hand like that. Are you able to do that by holding a rod like this? Just holding
the
here,
rod would have to be
eh?
the rod would have to be the rod would have to be placed on the ground and um to sturdy my hand to get that. Like I couldn't lift
Yeah.
that high. That's
Can
why
you lift with your other hand? Not up that high, right? Just a little bit too, so you can lift, right? See that?
uh,
You can also do it. You can
So
also do it.
you can't push. You understand what I'm trying to say?
No,
So nothing to do with this, just
yeah,
push from below, and then the other side.
If the goal is
yeah,
to verify
but
range of motion, you can also do that from your back as well.
Are you able to do that?
yeah. Do what with my neck? Or
I was saying if
the
you're,
thing you're talking about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I think he's showing you this to help verify like the range of motion is there, which you can do it from your back
Yeah.
as well.
See, I don't have that motion, that range of motion. The
So-
best thing I can do is I do like wall climbs. So I'll take my hands and like do that against the wall to raise my muscles. But
Okay, so
it has
can
to be
you
something sturdy.
can you lift your hand up to there?
No,
What's the height I can go?
that's the height. I'm sitting down. So
Okay, that's okay.
yeah,
So keep that height low with the pole, right? Lower down to as much as you can, and then lift it up to that height. I mean, you can't see my arm. My arm is down here, right? But you need the pole. You need the pole. You can do it. I can tell you, you can do it. But you need the pole to hold it on the other hand and lift it up. So you need to use, you know what I mean? So what happens is that you're extending your muscles and you're actually trying to talk to them to stretch them. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. But you've got to
and
do
just
this.
get me.
And if
So
you can't
just
go up
basically-
there, if you go there, that's okay. If you go there, that's okay. But slowly, it will come up,
Yeah.
right? And then you
So
get the motion.
basically, just try and get my muscle memory back, type of.
That's right. I think you've got muscles. It's just the memory's gone. I'm telling you this. I've seen it with my own son. He cannot do it. He cannot lift anything like this. If I give him 1 kilogram, he can't lift it up. All right. But when he's playing tennis, he's found a different way of using the muscle. So he's got no power up here, but he's using the range of motion to get to that, right? So, but he's bringing back the memory of the arm slowly. And I will show you a video very soon that we are making that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he had no motion, and today the motion is back. It's because he's
Okay.
teaching the brain.
One thing I would say about tennis is I did a bunch of that in high school for a couple of years, including after it started being affected. And you could get a nerve injury on the thoracic nerve, which supplies the serratus. That happened to me just over time. So I would be a little bit careful with that.
Very careful, yeah, but it's very slow. Like you don't want any pain.
See, the other thing I wonder about my joints is because I have lupus as well, so that affects the joints even more, and that has issues apparently with my arthritis and things like that. But anyways, Tony, I get what you're saying, and you seem pretty much spot on of how I'm doing.
You have to keep moving. The more you stop and the more you ignore it, the arthritis will hit you there, and it will cause you more problems. It's just very simple because that's how my body, that I'm 100%. If I don't use it, I'll lose it. It's just very simple. Why would anybody would be any different? So people with FSHD would be even worse. So you can't afford not to move and lose the range of motion you have. You need to keep the range of motion as much as you can. That's just what I'm trying to explain. I mean, you can't be doing, what the bodybuilders can. I understand this, but you've got to do what you can do today. Don't lose that. If you ignore it, you're gonna lose it. Please.
And that's why I make a point of just going out with my mom if she wants groceries, just to help get moving. Basically,
Correct.
And I realize that's the main thing, but it's still worsening. That's the whole point.
That's right. Yeah, just move whatever you can. But there is, yeah, look, I'm gonna make a bit of a video for you guys, you know, and you might be able to get some tricks, you know, and I know it's gonna help people who are just coming into FSHD instead of people who have lost a lot of motion. You are a little bit more progress than my son. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't mean that you've got no hope. You can always stop it there and maybe increase your your motion if you can by a little bit, if you can. That's the idea is not to get worse. Okay, slow it down
No,
as much
yeah,
as you can. It's a slowing it down. It's a game of slowing it down till a solution has been found.
basically, and that's what I've been told. Your muscles aren't going to strengthen too much, but let's just try and decrease it as less as possible and slow
That's
it down. And that's
Yeah.
the goal, right?
That's the goal. Yeah. So
But-
if you remember when you were an athlete, right, and you were playing, right, if you had a very healthy muscle, when you got sick, right, and it was about the muscle, it took a long time for that muscle to be eaten away because it was built up, it was healthy at the time, right? So it takes a little bit longer for a healthy muscle to die than a muscle that it has never been used before and it's just not doing anything. So that's what we're
But
trying
yeah,
to do. Yeah, if you think about it, we're
so
trying to make him as
so
healthy as
the one,
possible.
yeah, because the one thing I also noticed, just looking back at things that I couldn't do in school, like they had those old school things you had to write on from the board and stuff, and I just couldn't even keep up with writing with these kids. And I'm like, how are they doing this? And I'm out of breath, and so I guess even there, I had it, and then it just picked
Of course.
up, type of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, of course, that's what it does. But you've got to, like I said, you've got to keep at it. Don't degrade it. Don't lose it. Just do what you can do. This is a must. I believe this 100%. You've got to keep going.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
got
Just
to keep
stretch
going,
every
guys.
day. Yeah, all
Yeah.
right.
Because
Well, I'm
you
glad
know,
for that.
anyway.
And well, it's getting a little bit late, but Tony and
Okay.
Zach, would you like to email me? And um, I know you want to show me that video. And Zach, if I have any questions about what you're building or doing for meetups and stuff like that, that would be great.
Yeah, that sounds good. Do you want to put your email in the chat?
Pardon me?
I said that sounds good. Do you want to put your email in the chat, or we can send ours to you?
Oh yeah,
Either
that's
way.
sure. Yeah. So
Okay.
my email address is reid, REID 2015 at gmail.com.
Anyway, I'm gonna go, Jesse. Nice meeting you, Zach. I'm gonna try to be on the next one. I see that you've sent me what the professor is. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see what he says, but it will be interesting. So hopefully, I'll try to make it.
Sounds good. Good to see you.
And if I do get any videos, any progression, I will share it with you with your group. Okay.
That sounds great.
Okay,
Sounds
mate.
good.
See you, Jess.
Okay, have a good
See you
day.
then. Take care, mate.